Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and we got a little bit of 24-hour green on coinpaprika.com, who is one of my sponsors. Looks like XRP is holding its own. It's sitting there around 49, almost 50 cents. That's a good thing. eGreg Crypto is not backing away from some of these numbers he's talking that he's seeing on his charts. I'm not going down this whole thread, but it is a thread. Just wanted to make you aware of it at eGreg Crypto. But he's saying, quick update, price $13 to $27. I will take it, but I'm not going to get far into that today. Wanted to remind everybody, Link2 still has their Ripple private equity. Link2 being one of my sponsors. Links in the top of the description. Click on it. Tell them DAI sent you. And these guys still have their minimum investment for Ripple private equity decreased to $5,000. And that's a good thing. Normally it's $10,000. And also I wanted to remind you, another one of my sponsors, Uphold, these guys, you can now buy Bitcoin free on Uphold. 0 trading fees, 0% spread, 0% commission. That's pretty cool. And the link to that will be in I buy most of the digital assets I buy on Uphold now. And so the link to this will be in the very top of the description of this video as well. Moving along. I haven't talked, I can't remember if I've even brought up Ripple Swell. Ripple Swell is coming up November 16th through 17th of 2022. It's going to be in London. They've got a thing where you can request an invite. I have not done this yet. I was actually talking to somebody on the phone this morning that I know that is going, and they were kind of asking me if I wanted to go, kind of thing. And so I am considering it. You've got to understand something. You remember my hunting and fishing club, that I'm in at procoinnews.com is the official sponsor of the Digital Asset Investor Hunting and Fishing Club. Remember that? Well, deer season in this part of the country hits its stride right there in November. It's the most important part of deer season. So I'm trying to decide, should I apply to Swell? I mean, I may not even get an invitation, but should I apply to Swell or should I stick with deer season? That's my dilemma. That's the digital asset investor dilemma right now. But if we look down here, of course, Brad Garlinghouse is going to be here. This is a guy from Bank of America, MasterCard. They've added some people on here. So it looks like it's going to be an interesting event. Cindy Young is going to be there from Ripple. There's Naveen Gupta, Susan Friedman. Looks like they're going to have a lot of interesting people there. You never know. I've been known to hop planes before, but sometimes I don't. Okay, James Phelan, XRP community. Ripple slams the SEC and the SEC's opposition to iRemit and TapJet's motions to file amicus brief. If the SEC cannot evaluate the veracity of such claims, then it had no business bringing this litigation in the first place. And Crypto Law called it's basically an XRP mic drop, folks. Finally, the SEC remarkably suggests that it would be prejudiced by its inability to evaluate the factual veracity of their claims or show that movements' facts are disputed. The SEC has sought summary judgment based on what it erroneously claims are undisputed facts, that every purchase of XRP is an investment and that every XRP purchaser expects profits from Ripple's efforts. Nothing could be more to the point than these two amicus briefs refuting or at least disputing both points. If the SEC cannot evaluate the veracity of such claims, then it had no business bringing this litigation in the first place. Now, SEC's got all kinds of problems, folks. This is Charles Gasparino, Scoop. SEC staffers fuming over Gary Gensler's self-promotion on the Kardashian case. Check this out. It says some members of the SEC enforcement staff are accusing their boss, Gary Gensler, of being a publicity hound for an unusual unveiling of charges filed earlier this week against celebrity influencer Kim Kardashian. What irked the enforcement staff, the attorneys who developed the case brought against Kardashian, was that Gensler appeared to take credit for the case solo on national television. They also say he embellished its importance to gain publicity for himself. The case was far from the SEC's biggest or most significant case. I believe it's based on a bunch of BS. You know, something that's been missed here, folks. John Deaton wrote about it in a thread, but something that's been missed on this Kardashian case is this idea, that not only did she have to disclose that it was a sponsor, but she also had to disclose the amount. Well, I ask you this question, then I'll make the point John Deaton made. Have you ever in your life, because I haven't, I'm 48 years old, in your entire life, I've watched Fox Business, CNBC, all the financial networks, you name it, listening to the radio. Have you ever, one time, heard someone say, oh, this is my sponsor, and by the way, they paid me $500,000 for this? Never. You've never heard that. And there's a reason you've never heard that, because this whole thing is a farce. John Deaton said it, and here's one of the points John Deaton made. He said that is not the law. The second thing he said was, most of these people that are paying sponsors make them sign an NDA or an agreement, confidentiality agreement, where they couldn't disclose that if they wanted to, or they would be able to be sued. And so it's totally a farce. And Gary Gensler knows it's a farce. He just did it with someone who he knew he could get some publicity off of, and he knew that he could work it out where they wouldn't fight him on it. That's the fact, Jack. Now, I saw that every time I see this kid on CNBC, I feel like the powers that be are making fun of us all. And I'm not saying that Jack Mallers is not a smart young guy. He is. He's a smart guy. But folks, grown men and boys will weep, because it was never Bitcoin, and that's the fact, Jack, too. Now, here's Rosie Rios from XRP Chiz. Rosie Rios, listen to this.
I'm Rosie Rios, former Treasury of the United
Board of Directors of Ripple
States and current board member of Ripple. What I like to talk about is really kind of this intersection between government and innovation. Certainly coming from the Bay Area, born and raised in Silicon Valley, I've seen a lot of change over time. And what I love is the conversation is really starting to happen in a constructive way, where I think we as a region, we as a country, and perhaps we as a globe could really think about the future of fintech and who the stakeholders are and how we can make this effective for everyone. So when you think about growth, it's not just kind of GDP growth, which of course is a big part of the economy, but it's also where new growth comes from. And that usually comes from, certainly lately, in technology and innovation. So I think the benefit of why business and government should be working together is, again, providing that level of certainty for further expansion, further growth, and certainly more jobs for the economy. So blockchain is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And so it's not just how to facilitate commerce. There are other applications, whether it's NFTs, whether it's, selling real estate, whether it's, any type of financial ledger that can be recorded for posterity's sake. This is here to stay. And it's important and incumbent upon the government at every level, whether it's local, whether it's state, whether it's national, to really give some thought as to how those applications are going to benefit them and benefit everyone. But I think what's most important is, what are those guardrails? What are those tracks that we can lay down in order to move forward in a way that really blazes the trail for future growth and future opportunities that we don't even know are there yet?
All right, and then there was this one with Brad Garlinghouse from XRP Chiz.
Crypto is helping transform finance businesses today in a few different ways. And I think one of the challenges for the industry has been to focus on solving real problems for real customers. And Ripple, obviously, from its earliest days, focused on the problem around cross-border payments. That's a point of a lot of friction as measured by speed and cost. And by focusing there, we've been able to have a big impact on that, relatively small piece. But I think over the next, years, you're going to see many financial transactions where a middleman sits, a middle transaction, an intermediary. Those will get removed, and we'll use blockchain and other digital asset type technologies to remove that friction. And I think all of society will benefit from improving the efficiency of those systems. I think you'll see that. Certainly, you've seen it in securities settlement as an opportunity. The financial transactions around bonds, around derivatives, a lot of these things take a while to settle, and the friction associated actually
That sure sounds like Codius, folks.
holds back the industry. Insurance is an industry I think you're going to see touched. Trade finance is an industry that really Ripple, some of our customers have invited us to participate in. And you've seen experimentation around identity in real estate and title management. And these are all examples where I think it's so hard to predict where this will go, in the same way that 25 years ago, when I first got involved in the Internet of Information, I never could have predicted on my smartphone I'd press a button and I'd have a car picking me up minutes later. I think this will permeate lots of different parts of our society.
Now, let me show you something interesting. I believe that there have been 2 settlement offers, and I'm going to piece this together. I think that there was a settlement offer with Ripple that they were about to accept before this lawsuit dropped. I don't believe it. I think that it's pretty obvious. And I also think that there may have been a settlement offer that Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple rejected because they're like, no. You guys filed this lawsuit and now we got you. And I think it was probably a result of a lot of the things that were done in social media, things that were exposed by the XRP community, army, whatever you want to call it. So first, I played this for you about a week ago, but let's piece it together. This is BitBoy and Eleanor Terrett.
Heard anything about a potential settlement that was maybe broached or anything?
No, I think he thinks he's asking her. I think that right here he's already heard that there was a settlement that was rejected by Ripple during the lawsuit, but she brings up something that maybe he didn't know about, which she brings up that there was a settlement offer that they were actually working out a settlement before the lawsuit was filed, and Hinman came in and nixed it.
Buzz around that?
I did hear something yesterday, and I'm not going to say the source, obviously, but
what a coincidence.
It was. I never tell my sources, but it was from it was a source of a source. So this person told me that they had heard that Jay Clayton, actually, when the Ripple case was brought in December 2020, Jay Clayton had been in favor of settling pretty much right off the bat. Okay.
And then I was making the point there that Bill Hinman had already left the SEC, came back to make sure the lawsuit was filed. So Ripple, what she's saying is Ripple and Jay Clayton had basically worked it out. Hinman comes back to make sure the lawsuit goes through.
But that Bill Hinman had been driving it home saying, no, we're going to carry on with this case. I heard Clayton was in favor of settling. Bill Hinman was not. I don't know if that's true. But that's what I heard yesterday, just in answer to your question.
Okay. And then John Deaton had asked about this. Why did Bill Hinman come back? Well, today, Bull Diep had put this out. This is BitBoy again. But he's saying that he heard there was a settlement offer during the case. And I believe that, I totally believe that, regardless of what you think about his inside sources and all that, everybody jokes around about that. I think that this is highly likely right here. Can you imagine? I mean, there's 2 things that he said a couple of times. One, he said that he thinks the SEC lose because of this case. Folks, it's because of the case, but it's because of what the XRP community has done on social media. They never thought in a million years that all this stuff would be uncovered. But it was. And for that reason, it's drawn. But anyway, he's saying here that one of his people that he knows has told him there was a settlement offer from the SEC and that Ripple rejected it, probably because they know they got him on the ropes. Watch this.
So I think we are in the final stages of this. I still think we don't see the end of this thing probably till Q2 of next year. It's unfortunate. I wish it would have happened sooner than that. But really, the longer this drags out, the better it's going to be for the price, because we want this to happen after Bitcoin bottoms. Then you might actually get a little more sustained price action. And I will tell you, we were We were very infamous for saying this thing was going to end in September of last year, and it didn't happen. But I do know someone who swears, and there's someone I know personally, this is not some random person that messaged me, that Brad Garlinghouse told him face to face that they turned down a settlement from the SEC in 2021. Why? Because Brad Garlinghouse knows they have the SEC by the balls. And I believe this is actually the beginning of the end of the SEC and crypto enforcement.
All right. Well, that's great you bring that up, because that's my next point. And that's a strong statement you just made, because Gary Gensler.
I know it's true. I know unequivocally that is true.
Think about this for a minute.
About the settlement.
This is something of...
Well, no, that the SEC is going to be losing power over crypto.
Folks, think about this for a minute. If you're Ripple, these criminal conflicts of interest that John Deaton talks about, if you're Ripple, that's your ace. That's your ace in the hole. You don't ever hear Ripple talk about that. But are you telling me that their lawyers are not salivating and saying behind the scenes, look, because if I'm no lawyer, but if I was, I'd be on the phone with whoever is negotiating on behalf of Gensler and saying, look, buddy, we got you guys in a criminal conspiracy here. Criminal conspiracy. And if you want us to go there, we're going to go there. But otherwise, you better give us the kind of settlement we want. That's what I'd be doing. That's what any attorney, and some of these attorneys are bulldogs for Ripple. You telling me that they're not saying that? Oh, you better believe it. Gary, out of his arrogance and stubbornness, is probably fighting it, but you know what? I'd much rather be where Ripple is. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I believe that Ripple has the